Welcome back for another video. I've literally never done an updated draft anywhere close to as quickly as this before, but after a few days from soaking up all the analysis out there, carrying out research and so on, I have shuffled my team around quite a lot, so I want to show you where I'm up to now and why, kind of talk through the new players and the ones that have left. Is anyone else feeling kind of unsettled with their teams at the moment? I think they've absolutely nailed the pricing for once, and there aren't really any completely obvious picks. Depending on who you ask anyway, there might be one or two players that you think are absolute locks, but yeah, personally, there's not a single player that's a lock for me currently. If you're new around here, welcome to the channel. I've been first in the world before in FPL in the 21-22 season, and last season finished about 3,400 out of 11 or so million managers. Make sure you're subscribed for daily FPL content to help you do well and win your mini leagues. So before we get into the team, my mind was absolutely blown yesterday. Basically, Scout have recalculated every single player's points last season under the new FPL rules to basically give us a picture of how everyone would actually have done last season if those rules were in place. So yeah, how differently would they have scored with defensive contribution points, extra assists and the bonus changes, the new rules for this season. I can't begin to imagine how long this must have taken to do, but anyway, that's been added for all members in the members area. Like Tarkowski would have gotten an extra 44 defensive points, 42 for Caicedo. Anderson from Forest would have gotten 36 more points. Bruno Fernandes would have finished on 193 points, even he would have got loads of points extra. So yeah, it's given me a lot to think about. If you want to play around with the table, there's like 40 or so pages of data. About an extra 2,600 points would have been handed out last season, so we'll see something similar this season. And obviously you can get all the other incredible scout tools by clicking the link at the top of the description. In goal, I've shaved off 0.5 million from the initial draft as Sanchez comes in for Raya, who looks to have cemented himself as Chelsea's number one, including most recently at the Club World Cup where he started all but one game. That was when Jurgensen came in against Tunisian side Esperance, and that was 3 days before they played against Benfica as well, which saw Sanchez back in goal. Pulling up my data table from last season, 47.97 expected goals conceded for Chelsea. That ranks 5th best. They conceded the 3rd fewest goals, 4 fewest shots conceded, so good underlying data. After you become a Scout member, if you go to public data tables, you can search FPL Focal, and there's about 10 that I've published there, the ones that I use to make these videos, so you don't even have to make your own if you wish. Just steal all of my ones and use those. In defence, the double Arsenal defence is retained, but it's Saliba that joins instead, so it's Gabriel, Aina and Saliba in the back three. A 1-0 win over AC Milan in the most recent pre-season friendly. And of course the likes of Zubimendi added to the squad, which in theory should only shore them up further, and they were already the best defence for XGC last season as that table showed. Liverpool kept one more clean sheet however. I am conscious of being flexible though when it comes to these new defensive contribution points and who the best picks are now. The likes of Tarkowski, Milenkovic, even former defenders like Bednarek got the most extra points last season because in a nutshell, teams get those teams more as opposed to the likes of Gabriel, Van Dijk, Vardion, who also cost more. The top teams control the games more simply put, and therefore they're spending less time defending. So yeah, going back to that table earlier, Gabriel would have only gotten 4 extra defensive contribution points, Saliba an extra 12. Tarkowski was top with an extra 44. I think where it gets uncomfortable as well is, I'm guessing a lot of these defensive points would have been scooped up in tougher fixtures when you don't want to be playing them regardless, right? So that's going to be a difficult one to juggle. Maybe we'll just have to go over set and forget defenders, even in tougher games. Aina was someone that I mentioned in the best cheap players video. I'll put that on the screen at the end if you haven't seen it yet. 3.7 points per match last season, which places him in the top 10 defenders. He got 2 goals, 1 assist, was injured for a little bit as well. We'll have to see how Forest adjust to the busier schedule, plus obviously a few sales this window, but I do like their fixtures overall. I think it's Gameweek 4 or 5 is the one game I'd want to bench him. Some big changes in midfield. It's Rodgers, Enzo, Saka, Palmer and Sarr. Saka was actually that goal scorer in that 1-0 win over AC Milan last match, Kivior with the assist. So Gyökeres is reportedly an Arsenal player subject to the medical. Massive signing, and obviously that's in an area that Arsenal have always lacked quality in recent years. What do you think of the signing? How much do you reckon he'll be in FPL? Obviously really importantly, how does this affect Saka as an FPL asset? It is possible that he loses pen duties, which would be a massive consideration given he's 10 million. though in theory he should benefit from having a quality finisher to feed chances to as well. My other midfield premium is Palmer, who stays in the team. 3 goals, 3 assists at the Club World Cup. That's another scout feature you'll like, in fact. They track the minutes played by everyone in the league in pre-season, plus their goals, assists, etc. So yeah, 6 returns at the Club World Cup for him. And obviously notably playing down the right again in a few of those games. And of course he got that brace and 1 assist in the final against PSG. Let's discuss Enzo then. I've not seen him in many drafts and he is quite a data-driven pick. I mean, I love a home fixture for Gameweek 1, which he's got. And if you compare the data last season of the 6.5 mil midfielders, Mitoma and Sarr were the only 2 that had a higher expected goal involvement. Often plays as Chelsea's number 10 in a nice advanced role, with Caicedo and James or Lavia sitting deeper. So yeah, perhaps we see him playing as a 10 more consistently if Palmer shifts to the right side as well. The fixtures are quite reasonable as well. It's arguably the best run of the 6.5 mil mids. Obviously Kudus is a really popular pick, nice Gameweek 1 fixture, 9.6 XGI last season. Didn't have his best season, but he's on a new team, new system, more motivation I suppose. Frank might get more out of him. But yeah, currently Enzo is my preference. We'll have to see how they all tick along in pre-season and come back to that one. And Sarr also comes in at 6.5 mil. He can be incredibly wasteful at times, which, yeah, 17.5 XGI shows, as he did underperform that in terms of his actual output. Yeah, he can be a really wasteful player, but he does generate the numbers. Among the mids last season, literally only Salah, Palmer, Mbumo and Fernandes registered a higher XGI total. If Eze leaves Palace, then I'll take him out for sure, but right now, as it stands, it's as you were in terms of Palace's attackers last season. 7 mil feels a bit steep for Rodgers, especially when only last season we got to enjoy his 5 million price tag. Though what I love about him is Emery always starts him and he basically always gives him 90 minutes. He's an absolute beast when it comes to fitness and physicality. Yeah, as I say, he often gets to 90 minutes and the longer a player's on the pitch for you, the likelier they are to get your return. I mean, I'm expecting him to make the 2026 World Cup squad even. 37 out of 38 starts last season, 19 returns, so what's that, just over every other game on average. Plus he's got a nice long-term fixture run. He feels like a slot in the team that could be left there, you just don't have to worry about him for a while. And I'm trying to put that price tag last season aside and look at what the potential he's got basically for 7 million this season. So you've probably noticed one significant player missing here, Salah. Up front there's been a big shuffle, it's Strand Larsen and Haaland, the 2 Norwegians. On the one hand, yeah, no Salah, but on the other hand I've managed to squeeze in 3 premiums now instead of the 2, so it's Saka, Palmer and Haaland. Obviously you can delude yourself with questions like, how's Salah going to get on with all these changes to the team? Like Trent genuinely was pivotal behind him over the years, and they've got a new striker, Ekitike, Wirtz is joining and so on. I'm fully expecting Salah to have an incredible season regardless, he's just that kind of player. It doesn't look like slowing down just yet, and it is scary going about someone over 50% owned, who obviously will be heavily captained in Gameweek 1 as well, so it could be over 100% effective ownership. Can the Palmer, Saka, Haaland trio make up for whatever he does though? That's the question. I mean, Saka is arguably the best captain in the game in Gameweek 2 when Arsenal were home to Leeds, and I couldn't have Saka in my Salah draft, so that's a factor that obviously the Salah and Palmer drafts don't provide. And lastly and quickly, Strand Larsen, an absolute hero last season for me when I bought him for like 5.3 million or something like that, and he got a couple of braces in my team. So yeah, justified price rise after bagging 14 goals, 4 assists. How Wolves do this season, I think it's going to massively hinder on him. He's the main man, like maybe even on penalties. Cunha's gone. Man City Gameweek 1's a rough fixture, but they do have Everton and Leeds home in the opening 5 game weeks. On the bench, I've taken some inspiration from the budget players video with Darlow, Maatsen, Esteve and Krupi Jr., which all 4 appeared in. Maatsen feels like it could be an incredible pick if Digne leaves and he becomes nailed first choice. It is a slightly weak bench overall. Like in an ideal world, Esteve would be a 4.5 mil defender, but I can't find a good way to shave that money off. Maybe Sanchez down to Kelleher or Petrovic, something like that, or could go Aina down to a cheaper defender, but I quite like that set and forget back 3 and keeper. What do you think of the updated draft? Is no Salah madness, or does it have legs? I'll read every comment, so drop one below and I'll be sure to read it. And there's loads more content coming in the pre-season series, so hit subscribe so you don't miss out. See you soon for the next one.